I recently covered the first 2 episodes of Pluribus, the new show by the Breaking Bad creator Vincent Gilligan. Now I'm back to recap and give you my thoughts on episode 3 of the show. And while I'm really digging this, I can't help but feel that another shoe has to drop at some point. Even though there's definitely a crazy plot underway, it seems like there's one piece that's still missing. For instance, if you look at Breaking Bad, Walt, one of the smartest men in the world, gets diagnosed with cancer. His life is already miserable. He's a teacher at a school, and he knows that he doesn't have much longer to live. So he, as most people do, start cooking meth. That's a wild enough idea on its face, but Vince builds off this right away by giving other pieces to this puzzle that can start to form over time, such as his brother-in-law Hank working for the DEA. So he's already investigating drugs and where they're coming from. Better Call Saul does something similar, where Saul Goodman is trying to become a bona fide lawyer, but the only thing really standing in his way is his own brother, who already is a respected bona fide lawyer. Here with Pluribus, we don't have the dimension yet. Right now, it's just Carol, this stick-in-the-mud, chips-her-down woman who has to contend with the fact that she's one of the only people that is not part of a hive mind. So again, the first 2 episodes of Pluribus were fantastic. This third one that I was hoping was going to up the ante actually kind of pulled back a little for me, and I found myself still enjoying, but being ultimately a little let down with where it didn't go. All right, let's get into episode 3 in a spoiler recap. Say, before I get started with the recap, if you wouldn't mind liking and hyping this video, that's a new feature on YouTube if you're watching it there. That helps me get into the algorithm more. I don't know if there's a lot of people covering Pluribus, but I would like to continue doing such. So let it be known on YouTube that there's one guy that wants to do this. All right, let's begin. We start the episode in the past, about 7 years before these events occur. Carol and her girlfriend Helen are staying at this ridiculous Ice Palace hotel underground in a room filled with ice. Even the bed is cubed. This is like some Elsa Frozen shit. Helen, clearly the optimistic one of the group, is talking about how amazing and a once-in-a-lifetime experience this is, while Carol cannot crack a smile and is just sitting here thinking, I paid how much to go sit and be miserable here? And I gotta be honest with you, I'm with Carol. This looks like the worst case scenario. You couldn't pay me to live inside of a freezer for a night. We're then back with present day Carol, who's on a jet heading back to her place after things did not go well with the other survivors that have not been turned into pod monsters. I believe she met with 6 or 7 of them. They're all comfortably numb with their situation. One of the guys is living his best life. He's flying Air Force One. He is commanding a whole group of fembots. And he even wanted the one that's working closely with Carol because this lady, I don't think she has a name, just the pirate chick from the front of Carol's novel. Carol writes those spicy adult novels, and on the cover she has this beautiful hulking pirate guy. Well, the pod people gender swap him because Carol fancies the women, and that became someone that Carol could confide in. She still hates her guts, but she's the most pleasant around her. And this woman, for most of the episode, is going to act as the avatar who she talks with. Although there's a great scene later where she gets a phone call and the caller ID says, "It's us, Carol." Like, there's a lot of dark humor in this and just silly nonsense going on, and I find all that to be very pleasant. Carol, it turns out, is also really into the Golden Girls. One of the best theme songs, by the way, on any TV show. Thank you for being a friend. A skiddy-diddy, travel down the road and back again. Your heart is pure. You're a friend and a confidant. Really, only 3 major things happen in this episode. Number 1. She asks about the other non-English speaking survivors. She met with the English ones. There are 5 or 6 others the pod people track down from different walks of life. One of them's only 8 years old. One of them's like in their 90s. So Carol, after hearing a description of them, goes after the one that seems most likely to actually want to stop these things. And it's a gentleman that's very off the grid. They swear at each other in Espanol for a little bit, and nothing really amounts to much there. But I'm sure that's going to come into play in the next episode more. The second of the trace things that happens is the live grenade. At one point, Carol sarcastically says, "Hey, could you bring me a grenade so I can blow myself up?" I'm paraphrasing. She's very frustrated. She hates all of this. She hates that these people are all one collective mind, but don't really seem to be themselves or have any individuality anymore. They are not the people they used to be. And so what's the point of her even existing anymore? They have pointed out that they cannot kill her or harm her. It's against their nature, but they are also willing to part the seas and move the mountains for this lady at any request. They will be at her beck and call. So Pirate Chick shows up with the grenade. It is live, Carol realizes after pulling the pin. She throws it out the window and boom! Levels the front of her house, which does add an interesting piece to this, which is Carol can essentially massacre, she can genocide the entire world if she wants. And that's made clear when later she's interviewing a guy and he says, I mean, we'd push you away from getting a nuke, but ultimately we would land on the side of giving you one. The third and largest focus of the episode is the lack of groceries at her nearby store. Since the pod people are trying to really manage their time and manage their space, they're shutting off power to every area that doesn't need to be serviced, which as it turns out is pretty much everything surrounding Carol's house. And it also means centralizing the food storage, not putting them in random ass grocery stores across the country. So when Carol goes in to go shopping and sees the place is completely barren, she's pissed. And she gets on the horn, she talks to Lady Pirate, and within just a couple of hours, an entire fleet of random people have shown up, unloaded all the semis full of food, and got that grocery store fully operational again. All for Carol. So after 3 episodes, there's still plenty of mysteries to unearth. What is the point of the pod people at all? What is the point of this infection? Does Carol actually have the upper hand? Because we now know of 2 ways she can kill pretty much everyone off. Number 1 is to just upset them to the point where they all break down into seizures. And 2, to just straight up request a bunch of different weaponry to nuke the planet. But there you have it, my thoughts on Pluribus episode 3. This director has once again proven, and I suppose kind of braggadociously pointed out, that he can make a show about people unloading groceries seem interesting. At least in my opinion, he can. Definitely the weakest for me of the 3 episodes. I do want the show to forward momentum and not backpedal, which is what I think this one did a bit. However, it's still the best thing I'm watching on TV by a country mile. And there you have it, my thoughts on Pluribus episode 3. Hopefully you enjoyed the recap and hopefully you continue to watch them. Please like the video, hype this video up, because this is a tough show to cover when it's not going to get a lot of eyeballs on it. I think that really helps. Leave a comment and hopefully I see you next time. Take care. And if you threw a party and fucking invited everyone you knew,